Hello, Mitchell.
Hello,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's a nice sunny day in Niagara-on-the-Lake, so I've got no complaints.
Here too, actually. We had some of that rain I think you had as well, and so it's
It,
beautiful today.
yes, 3 days of rain followed by bright sunshine is welcome.
Lovely. Well, I'm excited to introduce you to some of the savvy customers who may not have met you yet. So Mitchell is the head winemaker at Marynissen in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Marynissen Estates, and it's really quite a storied vineyard. One of the original plantings of vinifera grapes in Ontario, and I think the oldest planting, is that right, of Cab Sauvignon in Canada?
Yes, we were the first people to plant Cabernet Sauvignon in Canada, and the vines are still producing grapes to this day.
That's exciting. So what kind of grapes is Marynissen working with these days? What kind of wines are you making today?
Well, that's actually a great question because we did a little bit of replanting of the vineyard. Unfortunately, one of the sad things about making wine in Canada is we do have some tough winters and sometimes vines don't make it through. So our vineyard has been replanted. The Cabernet Sauvignon is still in the ground, as I had mentioned, but we also have Chardonnay, Gewürztraminer, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and then Pinot Grigio, as well as Pinot Noir planted on site. And from that, we make a variety of different wines, focusing reds, some sparkling wine from our vineyard, as well as a really fun and interesting blend that we're going to be bottling later this month called Mergou, or Merlot Gewürztraminer.
Oh, I love it.
The Gewürztraminer planting on the property is very small, so it's hard to do anything with it. We get about 500 kilos of grapes, which is a very small amount. So this year we decided to blend it and co-ferment it with Merlot right from the start. So we picked them at the same date and fermented them together. From the rest of the site, we're making a little bit of rosé from the Pinot Noir, as well as some sparkling, and then also red wine. From the Pinot Gris, we're doing our delicious white series Pinot Grigio, that people really enjoy, as well as our heritage collection skin fermented white Pinot Gris. So Pinot Grigio is a pinkish grape, but usually used to make white wine. And in this process, we fermented on skins for about 10 days, and that extracts a little color. So almost looks like rosé, but just a little bit different, maybe not as dark and not as red as say our Pinot Noir or the White Series 2020 rosé we'll be talking about today.
Oh, those all sound fantastic. Actually, speaking of rosé, we should talk about rosé. There's a number of different ways to make rosé. I'm curious as to how you make your rosé and why you chose that method.
Well, I didn't choose any method because I decided to do them all. And so when I started in Marynissen, it was 2018. I started as cellar hand, and we had one rosé, which was the White Series rosé. And from that, we're trying to make it into the market at a cost-effective range. And so the best way to do that is by using white grapes in the blend. And mainly the reason for that is red grapes cost more. So if you want a more economical rosé, you can blend a little bit of white grapes in there. I don't think we're doing it because it's lesser of quality. In fact, I think the style we started with those 3 years ago, which has followed all the way to 2020, is really amazing, and it resonates a lot with people. So what I do is ferment a couple different wines. For the pink part, we're going to be saignaying off of Cabernet Franc, Pinot Noir, and Merlot, because we're making red ferments. So all the grapes go into the tank and then fill up. But before we start fermenting them, we pull off a little bit of volume. This is within 24 hours of harvesting and crushing those grapes to make red wine. We're going to bleed off that volume. So it's just like opening a tap, a little bit of the liquid comes off, and it's this beautiful pink hue. But now we're doing that with red wine. So it's higher sugar content. It's riper fruit because we're trying to make red wine from it. So you end up getting tons of these ripe cherry, as well as like raspberry, these big red fruit flavors that show through in the rosé. But it ends up having a little less acidity just because we're picking it at that later date. So to combat that, we're going to be blending in a little bit of Riesling, which, if anybody's familiar with that grape varietal, has a beautiful acidic base and really helps balance out that rosé. So for the White Series 2020 Rosé, it's made from a blend of Sanyade Pinot Noir, a little bit of Cab Franc, and then we've got Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and Muscat in there. And the big reason I like those three varietals is they're very aromatic, and they kind of play with the red fruit aromatics and kind of lift everything up. So the end product is what I like to describe as sour cherry blasters. I didn't get that trademarked, or I don't have an association with Maynard, so please don't tell on me. But it's just that really like fruity, almost confectionery cherry flavor that's kind of shines through on this. And that's from the red fruit. But again, that little bit of Riesling and that little bit of Gewürztraminer helps lift up the aromatics. The
Yes.
other thing that's really nice about that acidity from the Riesling is it actually impacts the color. So with wine, when we're talking about acidity, we also refer to it as pH. And when you're at a higher pH, you get more bluish purple hues. And when you're down closer to a lower pH or more acid, around 3, or in this case 3.2 pH, you get much more of that bright red hue. So the Riesling actually does 3 things: delicious flavor, brings a lot of acidity to the palate, and then also really impacts that color. So we've got this lovely, beautiful, shining pink rosé.
Pretty. Oh,
So
that sounds
that
great.
is how we make this rosé. But as I mentioned, we do a bunch of different ones. So this is a Sanyé bleeding off of a red ferment and then blending with some white grapes. That's after they're fermented and finished. With our Pinot Noir rosé from our Heritage series, which I'll talk about the different series in a little bit. This one is 100% Pinot Noir, and it goes straight into our press, and then it gets pressed off of the skins. We basically pick it, it goes straight in the press, and it has enough color to just come right out to be that nice soft pink hue. And then we barrel ferment that. So that's our other way to do rosé. And then one that's not released yet, but we'll be bottling it actually next week, May 12th. I'm giving dates away. We're doing this a little early.
Secret.
Yeah, and that one is our Platinum Series rosé, and that's made from 100% Sanyé, no white wine blended into it, and it's all from our top red vineyards that are performing really, really well. If you're familiar with Marynissen's brand, we have kind of a 3-tiered system. The White Series being delicious wine for a great price. And we do blends and single varietals in there. Mainly Cab Franc is our single varietal, as well as Chardonnay. And then we've got our Rosé, Pinot Grigio, and a Cab Merlot. And then our Heritage Series is where we design these pretty neat labels. We just started in 2020 with these, and it's basically a soil profile of Marynissen's vineyard. And the idea behind the Heritage Series is it's all about either single varietals, single vineyards, or a unique winemaking style. And sometimes we do all 3. For example, this Pinot Noir rosé is 100% from the Marynissen vineyard. It's a single varietal rosé, and we did a barrel ferment on it. So it's kind of the 3 ideas behind our Heritage Series. And then our Platinum Series kind of looks like the white labels with the nice V, but black and platinum silver on it. And the idea behind this is we only make it from the best grapes in the best years. If either the grape doesn't show up the way we want it to, or the year isn't as awesome as we wanted it to be, we just won't make it that year, and people will wait till the next time we release that. Nice, in 2020 we were able to make almost all of our red varietals in there, plus our Chardonnay. And then 2021 we're going to be doing the rosé because it just looked really, really nice this year. So it's more of a high quality, and that's the point of it. We don't want to dilute that tier at all.
It's
That
been, yeah, you're right. The 2020, 2021, I keep hearing from all the winemakers what good years, 2020 in particular, were. So it's exciting. That means you can do more of that series that
yes,
particular year.
2020 was what I think people are saying is one of the years where just things ripened as they wanted to, and everything came off lovely, whether it was sparkling wine, white wine, or our red wines. It was just a long, dry growing season with rain just at the right point, so our vines didn't get stressed out. Kind of what was very it made my job really easy. Let's put it that way.
People that, no, it was hard work and it's only good because of you.
Well, there is still a lot of hard work, but sometimes it's I'm at the whim of nature a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, this has been exciting, and I know the savvy customers are lucky. They're going to get a chance to try your it's your white series, I believe, rosé, the
Yes.
2020 rosé. And I think you're coming to Ottawa for the Savvy Rosé event later this month.
Yes, that's on the May 26th, the Savvy Rosé pop-up.
Yeah.
I will be in attendance and pouring for Marynissen with one of my coworkers.
Oh, well, that's great. I know people will love getting a chance to meet you live and trying the wine. I'll be there too, so I'll get to say hi to you live and looking forward to it.
Wonderful. I'm excited for it as well.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your time today and for making great wine. And we're looking forward to giving it a try.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure.